Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? And welcome to the chat session. You're watching the This Way Network. I'm Rodney Allen Ripper, your host, and we have my wonderful co-host, Nina. What's happening, Nina?
Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's so glad to see you here. And we've got some of you all the way from Poland.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, we've got people all over the place this morning. Good morning, Elvira. And good morning, Lucas and Carrie. It's great to see all of you this morning. And we are so excited about the guest that Rodney has brought on today. Rodney, you want to introduce him to us?
Well, beyond him being a real cool guy, he is one incredible, awesome actor. But more than that, he's a good pal, and he is a dear, dear friend of mine. And I'm so honored to have him on. Ernest Harden Jr. How you doing, Ernest?
I'm feeling great now. Thank you so much for that, for blessing me and allowing me to come on your show. I've seen a few of them, and it's really great and nice to meet you, Nina. I'm glad that you guys brought me on. I'm very happy about it, even though it's early in the morning for me, because you know how we actors do.
I know. And we so appreciate you making the extra effort to be here with us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ernest, you know, you've been a staple in the entertainment industry. You've been out there for quite some time, actor, writer, producer, doing so many great things. And you know, Ernest, I'm just happy to have you on. And today's topic, everybody, is maximizing your talents as you follow your dreams. And so, you know, Ernest has done has done that, being in the industry. Like me, I got an early start, and Ernest has been in there. Ernest, talk about it. How did you get your start, man?
Well, not quite as early as you. Matter of fact, I used to watch you a lot on television. You were our hero, man, and he's still my hero, of course. But
appreciate that.
It was awesome, because television back in the day, and I don't know, people of this generation don't realize it, but we didn't see a lot of us on the television.
Hey,
so to see us in any, here, I got to look up too. There we go. If we saw, okay, there we go. So if we saw any of us in a positive role, we were all cheering for you. And so that, I mean, you probably were part of my inspiration. You and I can relate to actors like Richard Roundtree and James Earl Jones, Sidney Poitier, all those people. And so I just really, that's what inspired me and wanted to keep on and just see if I could crack that barrier that seemed to be on television. I'm looking at my video, so am I? Do you still see me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're fine. Fine.
Yes, we still see you. No problem.
Okay.
I'm sorry you can't see us. Does that mean you can't see us?
I can actually see you. I can see you, but
okay, good.
I'm in when I look at myself, I see a pose as opposed to me talking. But I guess
it's probably
we see you.
Oh, there we go.
You're fine. You're not freezing or anything.
But yeah. So I'm really, that inspired me. My mom was she was artistic. She taught art in high school. They're both my parents are from Atlanta. My mother went to Spelman College, and my father went to Morehouse. And then went on to, my father went to, did a stint in the service, Air Force, and then ended up moving to Detroit. So that's where my sister and I were born. My sister is actually the real star of the family because she got her PhD at Northwestern, and she did some conducting for a while. because she was in music. She got a PhD in music,
Wow.
conducted the Chicago Symphony for some, and also the Detroit Symphony. Then she went on to teach down in Alabama, then later at Wayne State University, and then ended up. She said there was more money in the public school system at the time, so she went on and there's a school called Cass Tech, a high school where she was the head of music there.
Wow.
And then she retired. So she's really the one. My father used to always say, "Well, you want to be like your sister." Right? Okay. But he was. I think I did all right too.
Oh, heck yeah, you did, man. I mean, you've been an inspiration. I mean, you have been a part of some pretty legendary projects out here. And one of them was a movie with the great Betty Davis, and it was a movie called White Mama. And man, what a legendary film that was. You know, it was very controversial at the time. And
it was. And
wow.
The thing about it, that movie was done in 1980. So that's when it was actually released. Television movie. And Betty Davis and I she became White Mama. And because we talked all the time, we stayed friends until she died.
Oh,
matter of fact, I'm not just the only Black man that has starred opposite her, or the Black person, period, that starred opposite her, that had her as a leading lady. But I'm also probably the only person alive today that has starred opposite Betty Davis, because most of them are gone now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So it was the thing is, the movie was called House Is Not a Home or something like that. But she insisted on that title being called White Mama only because we got a lot of hate mail when that movie was being filmed. And and this is who she was. She wanted to make sure that these people who were writing her all these hate letters, that she knew that they were she was working with someone, starring with someone who was of the darker hue. And she wanted to make sure of that. And that's just how she was. I do wish she was alive today. We're trying to actually take that movie because it had a great run. It was on CBS, but we're trying to talk to people like Turner Classic Movies, and maybe I'll talk to Tyler Perry or something. We're trying to get it seen again because some reason it got squashed, and I don't understand it. Everybody thinks it was really a good movie, and it opened a lot of doors for other movies like it, because Blacks again you didn't see them in leads like that, especially iconic actors, iconic white actors, I might say, and that helped open the door. But you don't see a lot about that movie. A lot of people don't even know it. So many Betty Davis fans say, "Oh wow, this movie is great," but you don't know a lot about it, and I think it should be exposed. So it is my mission to try to get that movie back out there, because Betty Davis, the movie won an Emmy.
Wow.
Nominated for me.
Okay.
Betty Davis's performance was, she was up for an Emmy, and the entire movie was up for an Emmy. And so that's some of her finest works. People should know about it. So I'm really trying to push it now.
You know, I was going to tell you, Ernest, me and another colleague, he took me by Betty Davis's house that she lived in down near Irvine, right on the water. Beautiful place. And she had the most beautiful view of the bay down there. And it's a long story, but we took a day of going to all these different locations, and we ended up at this house, and he's like, and it has a gold, like a brass polished placard that said the home of Betty Davis. And so it's like a landmark. And we were there just for a few minutes, and all of a sudden, people kept stopping and pointing at the house and taking pictures. And I said, "Is this place that big?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Everybody knows this is Betty Davis's house." And I was like, "Wow!" But that's all.
A few places. I mean, when I saw her, I thought I would see. She lived in a few places, but the one that she actually lived in when we did that movie it was a apartment in West Hollywood.
No.
Had a doorman. I mean, yes, really, it was an apartment in West Hollywood, which was a beautiful apartment.
Sure.
The street I can't quite remember, but it was right off Sunset Boulevard.
Right.
And, I mean, she probably had a lot of properties, but this was one of them. And she, what was intriguing was she smoked a lot. I didn't know if you knew that.
No.
But she would have a chalice with her name, her initials engraved on it, and these chalices all around her place. And then she just go pick up a cigarette and start smoking. That's what she did a lot. I was, but they were, and as a matter of fact, it's so funny on the set. She was royalty.
Right.
So if she needed anything, all she had to do is if she wanted to sit down, she just leaned back and a chair would be put under her.
Oh yeah.
If she wanted something to drink, whoop, here's just reach and a chalice would be put in her hand where she would just drink with engraved BD. I mean, she was royalty. It was an experience that I cherish and I have to tell my grandkids about because I saw the film industry through her on the highest level. People like Rodney McDowell would come to the set. Who did the thing? Robert Wagner.
Wow.
Yeah, I met all those guys and they would laugh and talk about stories, talk about Ronald Reagan, for example. She said, we called him Little Ronnie and
wow.
And Charlton Heston, he takes himself so serious. I said, wow, you're letting me stay and hear these fabulous stories about, old Hollywood. And I just thought it was just a blessing. It was a privilege.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so interesting, so exciting.
Yeah. It was fun. So
Nina, you always have great questions. I know you're probably bubbling over. Got a question?
I am actually. I've got so many. Well, the first thing I want to know is the movie that you were talking about. I never saw that.
See that?
Yeah, there you go. Well, the 80s for me though, the 80s were, I was. There's a lot happening in my life in the 80s, and frankly, I didn't see TV. I didn't see the movies. I just had family things going on that I had to attend to. So I missed a lot. And I didn't even know whether that was in the theaters or if it was on TV. And you said it was on TV. So what network was it that put that out?
CBS did it.
CBS did it.
And the reason Betty Davis picked me through a friend of mine, is an actor friend of mine. His name was Dorian Harewood. And he was pretty hot at the time. He was working. And I think he worked with Betty Davis in a play. They did. I think it was off Broadway. And so I think that's how he got to know her. And I had just come off a TV pilot that I shot called Buffalo Soldiers. It was with Stan Shaw and Philip Michael Thomas. A guy named John Beck had the lead. And we just thought this was going to be great. Well, it didn't do much. And so Dorian comes to me and we were best friends at the time. And he says, hey, Betty Davis wants to meet you. I said, don't play with me, man, because I'm depressed that my series didn't happen. And, all that. I said, I don't want to, he says, no, I'm telling you, Betty Davis wants to meet you. I told her all about you. And I happened to be on a show called The Jeffersons.
Yay, that's right.
Now, I do remember that one. Yeah.
Well, we did a lot of them. I did it for 3 seasons. So it was.
And that's you in the white right down.
That's
the front,
me in the white back in the day.
Yeah.
And all of them are gone now except Marla, who's the maid, and Belinda Talbert, who played Jenny, the daughter, and also the second Lionel. There were two Lionels. I was the third young character named Marcus. That character was Marcus Henderson. But and I was brought in after the two Lionels left. And so, but anyway, Damon Evans is still living in New York City.
Yeah.
But to continue my story, I was so I finally decided to. He says, "Come on, meet Betty Davis," and da da da. She called me up, and we made an appointment. I went to that house that I was telling you about, an apartment, because I was looking for the palatial mansion around, on the waterfront. But we had this. It was not. It was really a nice apartment. It was a very nice apartment, but right there in West Hollywood. And we had a meeting and we talked, and she just said, "I like you, Ernest. Who's gonna direct us? Who should we get to direct us?"
Right.
Us. Oh, yes, of course, us. Yeah. You pick them, Betty. I mean, I'm on first name basis now.
Yeah.
But she made me feel that comfortable. Maybe I was just that young and silly and stupid. But then she said, "Hey, let's just do this." I didn't have to audition. And she said, "Yeah, no, start." And as a matter of fact, if CBS doesn't want to do it, we will move it to ABC or whatever. She was great.
She had clout.
And what you're talking about, Ernest, is what they call director producers. When you get a call like that and you ain't got to go through casting and you just talk to a few people and that's what you call director producer. And those are the type of calls you want to get.
Exactly. My friend Dorian he was tight with her. He was hot himself at the time.
Yeah.
Now he got away from being in front of the camera. Now he's the voice of NBC. I didn't know if you know that. So everything that you hear on NBC, all the new pilots and all the TV shows that are coming on or are being advertised is his voice.
Wow.
Yep, Dorian got a great job. So I love him. He was my brother, and he said, "Hey," and once we started to work, she said, "Oh well, let's get my friend Jackie Cooper to direct it," and that's
Wow.
And so that's what we did. And like I said, it was a great experience. Yeah, and then from there, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but you know what, man? You work with Hollywood royalty. When you talk about one of the greatest creators and producers of all time, the great Norman Lear. This man produced over 100 top TV shows and series. Everybody wanted to work with Norman Lear. And, God rest his soul. I mean, he's one of the, patriarchs of Hollywood, and the fact that, I mean, to be on a show like The Jeffersons, which was one of his shows, and somebody, Chloe's asking, how did you get your start? Inquiring minds want to know, how did Ernest Harding Jr. get his start?
Well, like I said, I was inspired by people like Sidney Poitier and James Earl Jones, and and being from Detroit, that's a factory town, so nobody really thought about being an actor, but it was something that was in me. I've been doing it ever since I was like in elementary school. As a matter of fact, when I was young, I had a favorite film called The Day the Earth Stood Still.
I'm old enough to remember that. Yes.
Yeah. And I memorized that speech. Matter of fact, that it was the final speech that he gave, to the people on Earth. And then I don't know. I was fascinated. I am leaving soon, and you'll forgive me if I speak bluntly. The universe grows smaller every day, and the threats of aggression by any groups anywhere could no longer be tolerated. There must be security for all, and no one is secure. Now, this does not mean giving up any freedom, except the freedom to act irresponsibly. I mean, I know the entire thing, and I was,
Wow.
and so
Still know it, yeah.
yeah, and so that I don't know, I just gravitated toward the business that way, and I ended up, being working, doing things in school, high school plays and talent shows, and I had a good time. Then I was saying, I asked my mother, I want to go to New York and try to see if I can make it, and she said, "Oh no, you're going to college. College. If we went to college, we'll go to college." So I ended up going to Michigan State instead of going to New York, and I studied theater there, and I got a degree in theater, and so they were happy that I graduated. So they didn't complain about me studying.
What you do? Yeah. Yeah, they didn't complain about what you
was. I ended up.
Yeah.
Right. They said, "Okay, you graduated, so that's good." And I went to New York and just followed. Oh, Rodney, I had such a tough time. I stayed at a place called Sloan House. It's a YMCA where they let prisoners from the prison stop at the Sloan House before they're released back into society.
Wow.
And so I was there for a while and had some crazy experiences. And then I ended up running out of money. I had a ticket to go back home, but I never wanted to use it. So I stayed there, and I was on park benches. I remember being in New York and just saying, "Gosh, I'm the loneliest person in the world." I'm seeing couples walk around hand in hand, and this is heartbreaking. I don't know a soul in this town. What could happen to me? What worse could happen to me?
Right.
Then it started raining, and so I said, "Oh my God, this is
bad.
Yeah.
Is this a sign, Lord? Is this a sign that I need to just go home?" But I stuck it out. And you know what happened? I called. I had a girlfriend in Michigan State, and she lived in New York. And her sister was a big time actress. Actually, at the time, Denise Nicholas.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
She was on a show called what was it? Room 222.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was one of the stars of it. So I called her mother because I graduated a little bit before my girlfriend did at the time, and I called her mother she said, "Oh, I heard that you were in town," and I said, "Yeah, well, what are you doing tonight? Come for dinner." And I said, "Oh, let me think. Didn't have a place to go. I'm on a bench." And she said, "I said, I think I can make it. I think I can, I think I can find time in my schedule." And I got over there, ended up, and she was so nice to me. I ended up staying about 6-7 months over there, and that kind of gave me a place to stay and a basis to try to pursue what I did. And I got in the first movie I got in was a movie called 3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford. I just had a scene, but if you check that movie out, because the movie became a classic, and I'm the last name on the credit.
Hey, you made
it, Ernest Harden Jr. And so it happened to, but that movie I had no idea it was going to be so big. And Robert Redford and I kind of became friends from that film. I mean, later on I saw him because I did another movie, and this was later after my career started to sort of take off. It was called White Man Can't Jump. And I got with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
He did a movie called Indecent Proposal. This thing that you saw now, that's me in the shirt.
No, hold on. I got the actual picture. Look at this. Whoa. There it is. Woo. There it is.
Oh, okay. That's it. Yeah. And And he called me one day. He says, Ernest, I'm doing this movie called Indecent Proposal. And come on downtown. They said, your boy is here, Robert Redford. And he remembers you. I said, sure. And when I got to downtown, I saw him, and he cracked me up every time he would film something and come back. Ernest Harden Jr., how you doing, man? He was a little shorter than I thought he would when I first saw him. I said, what did you do? You were taller than that. But the magic.
He got old. He shrank.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happens to us.
Because I thought he was pretty tall. Him and Faye Dunaway, I remember. And when they were in 3 Days of the Condor, I just looked up to him, and he became one of my heroes. I wanted to be like that,
Right.
So that was my first film, and that was the first time I spoke in a movie. And that was just like hustling. I would get up at 4 in the morning and try to get a paper called the Backstage.
That's right. Backstage West.
And, try to find auditions, and I just never stopped hustling until finally.
So you didn't have an agent during this time?
I was looking for agents left and right through the paper, and I got like 15 of them, actually. 15 agents, because in New York you didn't sign with one person, and they didn't say that I should sign. They said, we'll consider you. They never gave me a definite yes, any of them. So I just kept going to other ones. And then when I finally got a project,
everybody wanted to claim you.
Yeah. I finally got a project that taught kids math. It was a show called Scoop's Place. And the producer liked me and wanted me to be the star of it. And he says that, do you know 15 agents submitted your picture? I said, 15? Well, that's because I was just hustling. And matter of fact, I mean, I tell any young person, well, I don't know how it is today because we didn't have the internet and all of that. So we were just showing up in person and having our picture and giving it to whoever that we thought was influential and that could help us. And as a matter of fact, that's how I got 3 Days of the Condor. So I went I was looking for an agent, and I walked to the wrong office, and they were filming in there, auditioning people. And the guy, I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interfere." And he said, "No. Come in. I came in. He said, read this. So I did. And he says, I like you. I'm going to send you to the set. He was casting smaller roles. I didn't know the difference between a small role and extra. I didn't know. But I said, oh, okay. But he says, so I'm going to send you to the set. Are you Screen Actors Guild? That's a card that all the actors have. And I said, and I said, yes. He said, if you lie, we blackball you. I like, I'm not, I'm sorry.
That's right.
He said, you know what, though? I like you so much. You go, and if they kick you off, they do. But I really like you. And he sent me over there. And all of a sudden, the guys, we're on a bus with the extras as well. And I didn't know I had a role. And he sent me out, and they called me up and said, Ernest Harden Jr., come off. And I said, gosh, they got me. I'm through. And I thought he was going to kick me off and say, and stay out, but he started getting me to the action. And it was all these lights. I mean, gosh, this guy, Robert Redford, must be big. Didn't even know who he was at the time.
Wow.
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. I was fresh out of school, man. And,
I know.
But, I studied about the black actors in Michigan State and the places where I thought I wanted to work, Negro Ensemble Company, New Federal, where a lot of black actors came through those places, and that's where I ultimately wanted to go. But the current people like Robert Redford, I didn't know anything about him. Wow. But I saw all these lights and all this crowd, and they were cheering, and And the guys walking me up to where the lights were and where they were filming, and the people were screaming because I had this big afro at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they just saw a black man and said, Jackie Jackson. That's the only thing I knew. So, and I got up there and Sydney, the director, Sidney Pollack, said,
wow.
This is Robert Redford, Ernest Harden, and we just want you to know that you guys will have scenes together. And so that gave me my Screen Actors card because out of my salary, I could get my Screen Actors card. And that helped me starting to get into film. And I started doing these other projects, small roles, Dog Day Afternoon. I think Robert and Scorsese in a film called what's the film they did with Jodie Foster?
The Silence of the Lambs?
No. This was before that.
Oh, before that.
Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver. That's right.
Yeah, and I'd met them early in the morning, and I had seen with those guys, just small stuff. And then when I finally got a call, I met Francis Ford Coppola, and he said, "Hey, I like you, and I'm going to see you in LA to audition for a movie called Apocalypse Now." And so that's what he did. He sent me, and the other guy on the plane was a little actor that you might have heard of, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yes. Oh my, yeah.
He got the role, so the rest is history. Yeah, but it was, well, he was right, because I could tell he put us all up in a hotel, and then he had a lot of times for us to come in, audition, and I could tell when I went in, I would be there waiting in the waiting room, and he would come out with Larry or Lawrence Fishburne, and he would come out and say, "Yes, that was great, Lawrence. That was fantastic." Next, and I'm like, "Oh wow, I don't have a chance here,"
Well, you know what? You worked with the great Ed Asner.
Yes, I did. Yes,
wow.
I did.
Worked with the great Ed Asner.
Ed Asner was so great. And we used to have, a long time ago, we used to have the same agent, an agent called Jack Field. As a matter of fact, in that movie there, that's one of his last movies. I don't know if it's his last movie, but it was one of them. And he was so funny. And then in the movie, I tell a little story because it's called Ed Asner Unscripted. So it basically, we didn't have a script, and we were just all improvising, talking about like whatever, within the movie, and the director would film it, and he stuck it all together. It's really it's a funny movie, but it's a powerful movie as well. And there was a little story I'll share with you about Ed Asner. We were at a party, and I tell this in the film, and we were all at a party. It was a big party. I don't know, and my friend and I were invited to. We were actually, there were other brothers and sisters, but not that many. Yeah. And we were all waiting after the party for our cars to be brought up, and I'm telling you, let's see, Charles Bronson was there. Those guys, that's how.
That's a party.
Yeah, Charles Bronson, Barbara McNair, Johnny Mathis.
Whoa. Love Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny Mathis. I'm trying to think. It was just star-studded. Ed Asner and Don Rickles. I don't know if you.
Yes.
And
the insult.
Standing there, and Ed Asner and Don Rickles were going at it. Everybody had everybody rolling on the ground. Ed Asner was holding his own against Don Rickles, and I was like, "Wow, I am really surprised that Ed Asner is this funny," And it was great. This was better than the party. They were just, they were going back and forth, and it just seems like Don Rickles ran out of material, and he looked around behind him, and there I was, and he said, "Boy, you are black." And I said, "Oh," and
God.
and Don Rickles will say anything. I had never experienced Don Rickles, but Ed Asner immediately said, "Oh, he's blown a gasket. Take him to the hospital. He's blown a gasket. Somebody get him, save him, ambulance, please." And they were rolling. He said, "Man, you so black. You should do night work in the army." I'm like, "No, I didn't say a word because I knew Don Rickles would get to cutting you up. I just wouldn't have a chance. So I just he said, "Man, do you sweat ink?" He was good. They were rolling.
Wow.
And Ed Asner was like, "Oh my gosh, help us. And it was just a hilarious night. And matter of fact, afterwards, I called my mom and said, "You know what? I kind of take this as a badge of honor. I've been roasted by Don Rickles." And so
yes.
I didn't take it as an insult. I took it as, wow, that was pretty cool.
Between, Ernest, between these stories, look at this. You were out hanging out with the one and only Jane Fonda. Incredible thing. I mean, you've met real, true Hollywood royalty, man. Hollywood royalty.
She was so nice too. That was an affair that we did, and she wanted me to also auction some of the stuff that we filmed in White Mama. And she wanted us to auction it off, and she was so gracious. Yeah, we just had such a good time, at that thing. And her, matter of fact, it was her, and I don't know if she was married. I don't think she was married, but she was going with some political guy, and I forgot his name at the time, but she was so cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah. So I've been blessed. But the thing is, so I went in and once I got to LA,
right.
I decided I didn't get that role in Apocalypse Now, but I decided to say, hey, you know what? I really want to do Broadway in New York. I never done that. And I said, well, maybe I should get a little bit more film on myself in LA. And then I won't be just in the background or something in these plays, holding up the spear or a tree or just, yeah. So I said, maybe, I'll get people to know me a little better if I get a little bit more film. And so I packed right up. I had the money from the show that I had done, the math show, the children's show, Scoop's Place, and I moved to LA, and I stayed on the floor with this guy. This guy arranged it. I stayed on the mattress on the floor. So I was still tough in it, but I got a Coca-Cola commercial, and then I got the Jeffersons. But I got I was blessed that came in and got a job pretty fast. Yeah, and I got but this character, I was playing another character on the Jeffersons. His name was Jason King, and Jason King worked with Isabel Sanford, Louise, at the help center, and he was one of the ghetto kids that came up and she was working with, and so she ended up bringing me to meet her husband George, who's a philanthropist, had businesses. He had cleaners. He had about
dry cleaners.
Yeah, he had 6 or 7 of them. He was doing well as a black man.
Moving on up.
He wanted me to.
That's right.
He wanted me to meet him and this and that. And so what we did is our little gang and crew made a scroll where we gave him, and we thought it was. We said, to you're doing such good things in the community, we want to give you this scroll, and it was, and that's what it was. And then he said, "Oh, well, you can be just like me," and they liked the chemistry that Steven and I had, and they thought, and that was just the last 15 minutes of the show of that particular episode, and the character was Jason King, and
right.
I said, wow. It just turned out they thought it was just great. They thought it was perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they had let the other Lionels go. So I was just that third, that new young guy coming in. They thought this would be good. They called my house before it even aired, and they said, we would like you to give you the series. And I said, oh, okay. And they said, yeah. And I thought they just loved this character Jason King so much that they were going to extend it. Well, I went. They said, but we're not gonna screen test you. We're gonna put you on air, and if you fall on your face there, then that's that. But we're gonna test you in front of everybody to see, how you do. Well, I got there to the office. I was in Don Nichols. His name is Don Nichols. He's one of the producers. He's actually the main producer of the show. And I was sitting in his office, and I'm looking through the script,
Right.
and I don't see Jason King anywhere. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they're starting me off small, but that's good. I'm here. You know what I mean? And he says, how do you like the script, Ernest? And I'm looking, I don't see one line. I'm like, oh, well, it is fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much,
So were you waiting for someone to
I'm
say,
sitting in
what
the
are you
seat.
doing
I'm going,
here? Oh, that was a mistake.
right.
Is that what
Well, I didn't even know they called me. I thought I was there, but I thought they were just, I didn't even make the, what do they call that? I didn't make the cut. I just, I'm not worthy of a line yet. This is the chapter, right?
There you
But,
go.
hey, maybe they're going to bring me on later. I don't know what I did. What did they have in mind? But I did not see Jason King on any of it. Then he says, well, you got a nice script there, Ernest. You have to do a lot of work and a lot of study. And I said, really? He said, yeah, Marcus, you're going to have to really do a lot of study. I said, Marcus, they changed my name. I had no idea.
Wow.
And that Marcus was on every page. I like, oh my gosh. I'm thinking, you better be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. And I said, study. Sleep is overrated. I don't think I went to sleep. I mean, because it was, they shoot in a week. They shoot pretty fast.
That's Ernest. Ernest, one of the things I want to share with the viewers out there, people don't realize how things in the industry can shift in a heartbeat. They may have a character name. There might be something that and that's the thing about being an actor. Sometimes they'll say, hey, we want you to have this type of character. And then somewhere in some pre-meeting, they go, no, let's take it a different direction. Then they're going to deliver it. It could be a name change. It could be a lot that happens. So you really have to shift gears. One of the things, you talking about this, and everybody, you're watching the chat session here on the This Way Network. We're on with actor, producer, writer, Ernest Harden Jr. Today, our topic is maximizing your gifts through your opportunities. So you got to maximize it and,
your dreams,
really and follow your dreams. And, Ernest, you're talking about the struggle and sleeping on the floor and coming up. And here's a picture of you standing in front of your billboard that was on the Sunset Strip. Now that's being tenacious, not giving up. And a lot of people don't realize this. When you're in Hollywood and you get a nice role, if you got a hot agent, man, they'll put you out there. They'll put you on a billboard. They'll put you in the Hollywood Reporter. Remember that? Whenever you land a role,
right.
If you got a good agent, they'll kick down a few bucks and they'll say, hey, Ernest is our guy, Rodney's our guy. And he just landed a series regular role, and they'll put you out there. Man, that feels so good when your friends say, hey man, I picked up the the Hollywood Reporter, and there was, and all that good stuff, man.
Especially, matter of fact, that Betty Davis film, they took an ad out. I know it was, I don't know, over $1,000 because at that time.
Oh yeah,
because they had a picture of Betty Davis, and then they said directed by Jackie Cooper, and then they had also starring Ernest Harden Jr. And it's funny because all the actors read those.
Oh yeah.
Read the what was it back? What was it? A Hollywood Reporter, yeah. And my friends were calling me, "Oh man, you got to. I have to read about you and find out when you're doing something. Oh my gosh, why didn't you tell me?" I said, well, I tried to call you about 3-4 times, but you never answered.
That's right.
So, well, don't worry about that. So how you doing, Ernest? Hollywood can be that way. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
It's a little phony, but yeah, it is. That's all part of it, though.
But when you
what I'm saying is, after I got that show on the Jeffersons, I just want to finish that story. I studied hard and everything, and then finally, just working with that cast, they were all so helpful. Isabel Sanford would have me over running lines at her house. I didn't even have a car at the time. Mr. What's his name? Paul Benedict, who played Mr. Bentley, would drive me home. It was, and they were just they were great. They were like family to me, and they brought me in, and it was perfect. And then I ended up doing the show, and once I did it, I'm tight with Jay Moriarty, who also was one of the writers on the show, and he actually wrote a lot of the episodes that I was in. And he said, you didn't know this, did you, Ernest? But when you got on the show was in the top 30 or whatever. But when you got on the show, it went to number 1. I said, what? He said, yeah, it went to number 1 when you got on the show. I said, wow, that's great to hear. So, I mean, and from there, things started to really blossom for me because I was on his show, and it was one of the shows that we all watched. Back there, it wasn't all that cable, Rodney, or all that. If you were on one of those shows, ABC, NBC, CBS,
there's 3 networks.
You were
you were out there. A lot of people back in the day, there wasn't all of these digital channels that we have now. It was 3 major channels, and if you had a commercial, a television show, everybody knew your name. And I mean, and Ernest, when you were out there as a young man, you also had worked with Hal. What is Hal's last name? Hal Williams. Hal Williams.
You know what happened? That was an episode of the show Good Times.
Good Times, that's right.
Good Times.
I was going to say that looked like the Good Times set to me right there.
Yeah.
Good Times was also under Norman Lear's umbrella. He had,
of course,
Jefferson's, Three's Company, Good Times. He had all of us, and we all worked in the same area. Actually, it was a place called Metro Media. They later went to Universal and was shooting, but with the Metro Media, and I'd see these guys like lunch break. I see all these people, and I was pretty hot on the Jeffersons, and I was under contract, but they let me go since it was Norman Lear's show, and they cast me for 1 episode of Good Times, and I had a great time working with all those people.
Doggone right. Let me tell you something. If Norman Lear wanted to do anything, it got done, and I'm going to tell you that. Here's a shot of you. Was that from Coming to America?
Yes, the movie Coming to America.
Coming to America with the great Eddie Murphy. Big shout out to Eddie Murphy. Shout out.
Yeah. Oh, you seem like you've done your homework.
Yes, sir. Oh, of course. Yes. Come on. You know, and listen, you ain't talking about big shots. I'm sitting here doing a little bit of homework, and I said, you know, we had some people that we both knew. They're a very famous family, and I was like, who is that? Hey, how did he get to meet Janet Jackson and LaToya? I was
Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you quickly.
what?
Janet worked on Good Times. So
That's
I
right.
told you that we all would see each other lunchtime and everything, and break and Good Times were let out, and Jefferson's were let out. Sometimes we go and hang out, and Janet loved me back in the day.
Oh,
but I was like, oh man, boy, hindsight is 2020. Because I felt that, here it is. I graduated. I was out of college. I was like 21 or 2, and she was just a young thing. You know what I mean? I thought she was a little too young for me. But she really liked me, and we were cool.
Oh, you were the older man.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so at that time. And so I have to go to the Roxy. That picture was taken to the Roxy. Michael Jackson took that picture.
Oh,
there he is.
That
same night. That's when someone took it. I might have taken that one, a picture of him. And we had a ball. We had a ball that night, And Janet she was always very cool, but she blew up as a singer. And I said, wow, I used to party and hang out with them all the time. Jackie Jackson he was more my age, and we liked to play basketball together and all that. Matter of fact, we would tour in the summer. They had a summer basketball team. Me, him, and Kevin Hooks. You remember Kevin Hooks?
Oh man, the director.
Kevin Hooks' father, Robert Hooks.
Where is Kevin? Where's Kevin?
He's around. He actually retired. He directed for years. He was a really prolific director. I think he's retired. And he's shooting a lot of still pictures now. I think he's into photography like that. But I talked to him maybe a month ago. We were best friends too, Kevin. And we did a thing together called Roots to Gift. It's the third Roots, actually.
Right.
With Louis Gossett, God rest his soul, and also LeVar Burton. They were also in it. And it was
let me tell you a little story. Let me tell you a little story real quick. Do you know when this was when I was on the top. Everything is hot. My calls are coming in just like you were getting calls. My agent gets a call from Alex Haley. And believe it or not, I was a call that got called in to play Kunta Kinte in Roots.
Oh, wow.
They wanted me to play Kunta Kinte. The problem was when I showed up, I was young, and they were like, we really want Rodney. They go, and when they started talking to me, I had this really high little voice, and they said, oh Lord, they said, he is too cute. This is not going to work. They said, he's just too doggone cute. They said, this ain't going to work. They said, and they were torn. They really wanted me to play that role so bad. They said, they called my agent. My agent told my mom, they said, Rodney's too cute. He's too little. He just doesn't look like he could be, out in the field. Take all of that. Afro. And they was like, nah, that ain't going to work. So shout out to LeVar Burton for getting that role.
I think that was his first role or major role.
Yeah, that was his first
because I think they got him out of school. I think he was going to.
So Rodney, how does it feel to know that LeVar Burton is not as cute as you are?
Hey, LeVar, it's all good. He's a heck of an actor, and like I said, and here's another shot. You were there with the great Bernie Mac.
Oh, that is funny. Yeah, that was a fun show to do.
Yeah,
Bernie
Mac show.
So cool, and God rest his soul.
Yes.
When it's funny. The first day that I was working on that show, he didn't know me, but he
right.
but he said, man, he knew I was on the Jeffersons, and he said, man, I love you on the Jeffersons, Curtis. You were great, Curtis. And I said, Ernest. He said, and I don't know why he kept me every time he said, Curtis, what's up? Okay. And then I told my friend, I said, I love Bernie Mac, but he keeps calling me Curtis instead of Ernest. And he said, and you're afraid to tell him the truth, huh? Because you want to stay in his good graces. But no, he eventually, I mean, we worked that show, and I saw him afterwards, and he was always so gracious. Stan Lathan directed that. And
Stan Lathan, wow.
you remember him? Yeah. His daughter, Sanaa Lathan, is that her name?
Sanaa, yeah.
Yeah, she's a pretty hot actress. And Stan, I worked with Stan in another little thing in New York when I first was introduced to Stan, and this thing was called The Sixth Period. And it was another PBS show that was teaching kids math. And Stan always, at that time, he just thought I'm an overactor.
Yeah.
I would overact. And he would call Jambone. That was his nickname for me. And I'm saying, I'm trying to do my best, Stan. Yeah, no, you're trying to outshadow the lead. You're a
hey, man, you gotta look, bro. You gotta go for it. Listen, everybody, maximizing your gifts and through your opportunities as you follow your dreams. That's what this show is all about. I have to say, we're almost to the last 2 minutes. Ernest, please give all the viewers out there today. This is one of our best shows that we've had. We've had so many different wonderful comments. People say they remember you. Lord, Robert Redford was a Chloe's heartthrob. I want to give you the last couple minutes. Ernest, what would you say to people out there who have a dream, they have a talent, or they're developing that talent? What would it be? What piece of advice would you give them?
Believe in yourself, never give up. And honestly, I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because it's just intestinal fortitude. I was fortunate that my dad had done a stint in the Army, and he was kind of like regimented in how he looked at life. And he just said, hey, you don't turn back. If you're going to fall forward. And I never forgot that. And he says, don't let what people say about you keep you from, progressing, because you're it's like being in a boat. A boat, it won't sink unless holes get into it. And if you let people say some negative things about you and you take that in, then you'll sink. So always just whatever you believe is what is going to happen. Your mind is powerful. You can manifest anything. Believe me, I've come from nothing, and now I'm known all over the world. It's just the way God works. So keep believing, and praise God. Always keep Him in your life, and keep looking forward. You will be there. Honestly,
that's wonderful. Chloe threw in, hey, she hopes you write a book. Carrie, everybody, Don Ward, shout out to Don Ward, another veteran, big.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Hey, man.
Yeah, that's right. You met Don. That's right. Yeah. Don says hello. And everybody, AC Cruz, thank you, everybody. Wow. Shoot. Elvira, everybody there, thank you so much for all the wonderful comments. Will you come back, Ernest? Will you come back?
Yeah, I got a million stories, man. I got a million of them.
We're going to bring you back. We're going to have you back again. Everybody, it's Monday. We hope that you have a blessed Monday, a great empowered week. Again, we've been on with the great Ernest Harden Jr., actor, writer, producer. Thank you, man, for this time. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And Nina, I'm going to let you close it out.
Oh, thank you, Rodney. Ernest, thank you so much for being with us. You've been very popular with our audience, and we would love to have you back. Will you come sometime?
Oh, yes. I'm there. The best is yet to come, everybody.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. I can't wait to hear that. Well, thanks, everyone, for joining us this morning on the This Way Network. And y'all, be of good courage. God is with us, and we are not alone. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Peace out.